start off with a question. How many of you have juggled before? How many of you have juggled? Now I'm going to take it to another question. How many of you have thought about juggling before, tried to juggle before, and then dropped the ball? How many of you have tried this before? So by a show of hands, and how many of you have gone to a circus or performance or a state fair and seen someone walk onto the stage, take pins or rings or knives or chainsaws, and then juggle? How many of you have seen this before? Yeah. And then how many of you tried it, and the first thing that happened when you started to try to juggle was something like this? No catch. No catch. No catch. Oh, like hands fumbling everywhere. And the balls, the objects, the rings, the knives that the professional is juggling perfectly aren't even a hope, aren't even a chance, because you're like, I have no idea how to do this. But here's the interesting thing with juggling, and this goes for almost anything you ever put your mind to that you can't at first try, do. And that is, it takes a little practice. Have you ever heard this before? Practice makes perfect. That if you keep practicing something, it becomes much easier, and all of a sudden you go from being a complete non-juggler to being one who can take 3 balls, 2 in the right, 1 in the left, and start juggling. And what looked like this, all of a sudden becomes a close together, beautiful, consistent set of throws. And next thing you know, you might just throw in a few tricks. So here's what we're gonna do. So we're starting off Summerfest. And the thing about Summerfest is it's not just one time and one teach lesson and one performance and one game and one memory verse. You have Summerfest, and there are all these different things you are doing, so many new things you've never heard before. And you just may say, wow, there is a lot here. Kind of like looking at the juggling balls and saying, there is a lot here. I have no idea how to keep these going. Here's what I would encourage you. As you face Summerfest, you jump in, you dive in, and you have so much fun. Remember, if you haven't heard a Bible story before, guess what? You're about to learn it. If you don't know someone who's in the Bible, you never heard of this person before, guess what? I bet there's something important there. You may just know, you may have just heard John 3:16, for God so loved the world, and everything else after that is something you have never heard before. You don't know everything. You haven't grappled with everything. You haven't tried everything here. There is a lot to hear about a God who loves you very much and sent his son in your place to have a relationship with God the Father. There's a lot going on there. I understand you may not have heard it before, you may not have seen it before, you may not have tried it before, but guess what? It's a lot like juggling. When you encounter something new and beautiful and exciting, it may just take a little listening, a little try, a little practice, a little stepping into the ring and going for it. And you still may drop here and there. You may not get everything, but guess what? Jesus also told a story about planting seeds. He talked about mustard seeds, these tiny little seeds that grew into something so much bigger than where they started. Wanting to juggle, wanting to learn more about Jesus is just the first step. There's so much more that comes from that. Okay, so I said there's so much more that comes from that. Well, it would be rather boring if a juggler who walks up on stage with pins and way more than 3 juggling balls, and maybe even a few balancing act ladders, if he walks onto the stage and doesn't actually do anything with them, that doesn't really count. It's like me talking about a unicycle, but not unicycling. So here is what we're gonna do. Let's try this. Okay, so DJ Tim, I believe he is in the back, and he has a really perfect song to drop. He's about to drop the beat, and let's just see if this works for a little more than wanting to juggle, but actually starting to juggle. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna put this to the side. We're gonna warm up. Ready? Okay, here we go. How many have tried this before? Raise your hands if you have. How many have wanted to juggle before? Okay. Whoa, here we go. Okay. The cool thing is, it doesn't just stop with 3. When you were in 3, there's so much more. 2 in the right, 2 in the left. Ready? Okay, but the thing about 4 is it's really just practicing toward 5. 4 is just 5 with 1 missing, so let's try this. Whoa. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Let's try one more time, a little closer and tighter together. Okay. The thing is, you start juggling, and you ask yourself, and you get it all the time, if you start juggling, people are like, when are you going to do the chainsaws? When are you going to do the knives, the flaming things? Well, first you got to learn how to juggle pins. Woo. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay. Here we go. Under the leg? Okay, here we go. And you say, well, that's not enough. And you say, well, I'm amazed by those who balance things. So let's try to balance things. Ready? Shall we? Okay. And you say, well, that's not dangerous enough. Here we go. So, let's try this. Okay, here we go. Don't try this at home until you practice for years. There, I said it. Ready? Okay, here we go. Oh. Under the arm. And you say, well, that ladder was too short. Okay. I don't even know if the ceiling's tall enough. Oh. Okay. Here we go. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone scream. Oh. It starts with wanting to juggle, then it starts with trying to juggle, it starts with dropping to juggle, and the next thing you know, it might just grow into a big ladder balance.
Guys, give it up for Parker Luke right there.